It is a milestone season for everyone's favorite dance show. That's right, it's season 25 of Dancing with the Stars, and we're about to recap the season premiere. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
The world, are you ready for a brand new beat?
My voice is too bad to sing. All right, guys, what is up, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to AfterBuzz TV's Dancing with the Stars After Show. You might recognize this song from the awesome opening number on the season premiere. But before we get started on all the new celebrities and all that fun stuff, I'm your host, Morgan Willett. You can find me on Twitter at Morgan_Willett, and I am joined with some awesome hosts. Go ahead and introduce yourselves, guys.
Hey guys, my name is Mina, and you can find me on Instagram at Mina Makes Magic.
What's up, guys? My name is Jeff. If you are a super fan of the After Show, you actually have seen me before. I've been on a couple times, and I love the show. If you guys want to find me online, you can do so at Jeffrey C. Graham on Twitter.
There you go. Well, guys, we have so much to talk about. There were 13 new celebrities.
Yes.
But before we dig into all the dances we saw, I just want to get, what's everyone's first reaction? I know we saw so much.
I was just impressed with the talent that they have this year. I was like,
Right?
wow, they're actually getting some really good people, some great athletes. I like the pairings for the most part. I'm always going to miss Derek Huff. I'm always disappointed when he's not
a
there.
classic.
He's like the one person that I always look
He's like the
forward
face
to.
of the show, I feel like.
He seriously is the best choreographer, the best everything. So I was a little sad that he wasn't here. But other than that, I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, I would say overall, I find this to be a very likable, very talented group of celebrities. I feel like normally there's like one or two picks where I'm like, meh, I'd be fine if they went. And honestly, I'm at the point, even, God bless her, Barbara Corcoran.
But she's just so lovable.
She's lovable. Like,
She's
I'd be
so
sad
lovable.
to see anyone go this season, and I think it's going to be a lot of sad goodbyes because I think there's a lot of general talent and a lot of general likability among all of the celebrities this season.
I almost feel like there's the really talented ones, and the not so talented ones are all the really likable ones.
Right.
So I was thinking, I was like, I can't really tell you one person. I'm like, nah, they should go home. So
And usually, I mean, this is kind of sad to say, but I feel like with a lot of the real, like the older demographic, the older contestants, we kind of know that they're like the throwaway contestants that are going to get eliminated, like episode 3, episode 2. But with Barbara, I was like, wow, she actually has a ton of potential. She has the best personality. I just wish she was paired with someone else. I don't know. I didn't feel the chemistry.
maybe next week. There's hope.
Yeah.
There's hope for old Barb. But okay, let's start with the first couple. So up first we have Terrell Owens. Is Terrell?
Well, we think it's Terrell.
We think it's Terrell, but
Terrell Owens.
Aaron said
They said Terrell. Everyone all night. Let us
was
know in the chat.
surprised.
Has anyone ever heard him called Terrell Owens? And where did this start? And when
I
did
think
this start?
it's Terrell. Aaron
T.O.
Andrews.
T.O. Yeah.
Let's go with T.O.
We'll go
Everyone
with
says T.O.
T.O. and then Cheryl Burke, who is back, which is
Yes.
really exciting. 'cause
Looking
I-
great.
Maybe
She
it's
looks
Terrell because of
fantastic.
Terrell and Cheryl. Terrell.
Oh, I see.
Who knows?
T.O. We'll stick with that.
All right, so we saw T.O. and they danced the cha-cha. So first dance of the night. Honestly, I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they started the show off with a bang. I will say, I think, Aaron was right, though, but it is Terrell. It's
Terrell.
Interesting.
Terrell Owens.
No
All right,
way.
good old
Well,
Terrell. Well, I
interesting.
liked Terrell. I thought it was a bit of a disadvantage. He's so tall.
Mm-hmm.
Cheryl is so short. So, I mean, he had to work with that. I thought that was hard. But, I thought he really started the show off with a bang. What about you guys?
Yeah, I definitely agree. He's got a lot of natural rhythm and a lot of natural, likable movement. I think he was pretty on point in terms of, like, rhythmically. Definitely he was kind of stiff, which I think the judges called out, and I really think a lot of that has to do with the height differential.
Right.
Kind of bugs me. I feel like they do this every season where they put together one really tall dancer with one really short dancer.
And it's just such a disadvantage.
I know, and I feel like sometimes they kind of play it for comedy or something because they'll be like, oh, he's just so tall. And it's like, I think probably very producible to make a decision like that. But I think it kind of did affect his frame and his posture. And yeah, I'm really excited about T.O., but I'm not quite sure this is the exact partnership that's going to make him thrive, even though I love Cheryl too. I don't know. And I think the judges were hard on his scores, which we'll get to. But
Right.
go ahead, Mina.
But what dance partner could he have been with? I
Lindsey.
mean,
I think him and Lindsey would have been
Yeah.
great together.
But
I think
I agree.
height-wise?
Yep. Lindsey's a lot taller. So like
Cheryl, they just didn't seem to mesh that well to me. I don't know. I don't know if they were. It's a new partnership,
though.
but you know, some like automatically click, and you look at them, you're like, well, they're perfect for each other. I thought they were kind of lacking that a little bit, but we'll see.
I actually disagree. That's so weird that you say that. I don't know. I felt like it was a solid pairing. That was one of the ones where I was like, okay, like that works. But
well, I guess we'll have to argue this one out. Maybe next week we'll actually figure it out. But we'll move on. So we got one judge commentary per dancer. Since there's so many people. Len, he was a little harsh on old T.O.
He was.
Yeah. Did y'all think the commentary? I think I wrote, he said, watch your feet. He was, tall. He had to, keep standing up, not slouching down. They took off major points for heel lead, which apparently you are not supposed to do that in the cha-cha. Toe heel.
Not heel toe.
Heel, yeah, so you always want to go toe heel in the cha-cha, and he was leading. And I love the moment when Len is like, it's the first of our heel leads, and the whole audience applauds. And then the whole panel's like, nope, that is not good.
It's not what we want.
But I actually thought Len's critique was good and accurate with T.O. The scores, to me, though, were not.
Right. I agree with the commentary. I was like, everything that they said, I saw. Yeah. But with the scores, he got a 5, a 5, and a 5. And that was one of the lowest of everyone.
Here's the thing, though, and this is why I think scoring is so, weird, and it's not consistent, because they have nothing to compare it to at that point. So the way that they're rating them is much harder than the way that they might rate the last person, because sometimes I wonder if the judges are rating the dancers based on their full potential and what they can do versus, objectively how they should be compared to everyone else, So I feel like when you're first, you're almost at a disadvantage, because they can't be like, oh, well, it was better than this, so I'm going to give it a 7, or it was worse than this, so I'm going to give it a 5. You just have to kind of be, almost harsher and more objective, so it's kind of unfair in a way.
Yeah, I mean, the scoring on this show, if we're being honest, is always a little problematic. And that's why it's good that the fans vote as well. But I just think we'll get to it. But, knowing that Frankie Muniz scored, 4 points better than T.O. Granted, Frankie was good, but so is Terrell. So,
and I almost thought that T.O. was even better than Frankie.
I would say.
He was a lot more fluid. I felt like Frankie was a little more stiff, and at least T.O. might not have had all the technicality. But I feel like he had the natural rhythm, which is what you want to see in a dancer. So, you know what? I'm going to disagree with that 15 score. I think everyone should get their votes in for T.O. because I think he has a I'm excited.
But you're also comparing two different dances, too.
This is true. This is very true. One was slow and one was a little more upbeat. So, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see next week. But next up, so we have Debbie Gibson. And she is with Arlen, who is one of our new professional dancers, which I love him. Mm-hmm. I think he's amazing. I'm so happy to see him as one of the pros. And they did the foxtrot.
Yeah.
So I'll let you guys start this one off. What did we think of Debbie's foxtrot?
I thought similar kind of issues to T.O. Where good rhythm. I mean, obviously she's going to have a lot of musicality because she's a professional pop singer. But yeah, there was kind of definitely issues in her frame and her arms. And she was equally stiff. I think she's one of those dancers who will see a lot of ease come into her dancing style throughout the season and just become more natural, because you can tell she's got the musicality and kind of rhythm to back her skills for the season. She just needs to kind of ease into the actual technique of dance, I think.
She was dancing to her own song, so I feel like that makes it even easier when you know the rhythm, it's your song, you've been through it.
And I think that was a hard dance. I don't know why. I think she'd be more, I was even saying, a jive. Something where it's, fun and poppy.
Because
and
she's an 80s personality.
Right. So it's something a little more upbeat. So I think something that slow was probably difficult for her.
Yeah.
But
it is fun to see Arlen, though. They've kind of been, I feel like they've been priming Arlen for prohood.
When they said he was born in 1994, I was like, he's 24 years old.
You guys are children. What? I'm also 24 years old. Go ahead.
You can't age yourself in the industry. Never,
you can't.
Never age yourself in the industry.
Always go with 24.
Yeah.
So if Alan's a professional dancer, we can do it too.
Yeah.
It's not too late for us, guys. Our time is coming. But so Bruno did his scores, and they got pretty, I think, decent scores. I agreed with these scores. It was a 6, a 5, and a 6. Obviously, Len being the lower score, that's no surprise to anyone. But Bruno, his commentary said, good chemistry, watch her arms and her shoulders, which I did agree with that. It looked like the whole time she was a little
uncomfortable,
like, tense and like kind of stiff. Which another thing, I think that'll come with time for her. I think we'll see a different dancer completely.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe she wasn't completely in her element, which is weird though because she seems like a natural born performer, but maybe this was not the dance for her.
Well, and then also they said, I don't know if this might have anything to do with it. She had
The
Lyme disease,
yeah.
and so they said, her muscles would like tighten up. So I don't know if
She also said at the end of the
that-
dance that she felt like she had been awake for 4 days. That's the feeling, like almost sleep
Wow.
deprivation. So I can't even imagine what that must feel like to have to perform this dance and be completely on top
Sleep
of it.
deprived.
And
Right.
you're going,
And your
you
muscles
have
don't work.
Yeah.
I think this isn't uncommon with pop singers, though, and even pop performers. Like, I think of a Heather Morris, who obviously was way further along than
My
Debbie
gosh, she
Gibson,
was
but,
amazing.
like, she did struggle with the ballroom here and there, especially at the beginning. So I think being a pop music performer, we're going to see a lot of growth from her, but she definitely, the ballroom is a bit of a wrench, I think, for her in terms of her dancing style. So, and someone noted she was a bit dead-faced, which I actually agree with. That's a good point.
I didn't see
Yeah.
any emotion from her, which I guess
I
in
think
a
that's-
ballroom it's harder. But I now thinking about that, you didn't. She was pretty blank face
Yeah.
the whole time.
Part of me feels like that's either whatever she's going through and what she's suffering with the Lyme disease, but another part of me is like, maybe you're like focusing on so hard on getting the moves right and the steps right that it's so hard to control this here when you're like, oh my god, what am I supposed to do?
Oh, that would
this step,
100%
this
be me.
step.
I couldn't match
Yeah.
my face and remember 8,000 steps.
Yeah.
So
It's a lot.
shout out to all of them. Okay, next up we have Sasha. I might butcher this. Pieterse. I think that's it. She's from Pretty Little Liars. Love that show.
Peterson.
Peterse.
Pieterse. Pieterse.
I apologize,
Sasha Pieterse.
And she is with Gleb. Yes, okay.
Yep.
I'm
She's with Gleb.
All right, and they did the cha-cha. So, I mean, I'll start this one off. I wasn't a fan of this one. To me, I looked at her and it looked like she was going maybe 75% full out, and he was just
110.
1,000%
I know.
compared. So it's almost like he distracted me from her, so I wasn't watching her. And then when I did get finally back on her, it looked like she just wasn't that into it. So I don't know if that was nerves.
I was expecting more, especially, you come out with this really elaborate blue sequin outfit
Right.
and you feel like it's going to be like boom, boom, boom. But it was so like,
It's like soft.
it was as if she had like
Soft.
just woken up from a nap and she's like, okay, I'll do it.
There was
no
something-
energy.
Fine.
Yeah, and
I
I'm glad
guess I'll do it.
I'm glad you pointed out just like the discrepancy between energy, because honestly, sometimes I see this with Keo and with Gleb where like there's a point at which your hip action is so intense and you hit moves with such precision that it's almost overwhelming. And I think it's important to, as the pro, to not always be a complete pro when you're not dancing with a pro. And I felt like Gleb was dancing like a professional almost on his own, not necessarily leading the way he should be. And yeah, I could tell she was someone with good musicality, but it really felt like she was kind of rehearsing it or marking it. I felt like she wasn't really doing the dance full out. And when he was so energetic and so pointed with his movement, it was kind of jarring.
Right.
I felt.
It was like two contrasting things where I feel like they could have met in the middle.
Yeah.
And it would have
Yeah.
been a really good dance.
Because then at that point, you're just looking at like him performing,
And being
and
like,
he's
oh
not
my-
the star.
Right.
A really good dancer doesn't just perform amazingly well in this environment. You have to be able to be a good teacher. And I feel like the thing that I've been seeing in this episode, even though it's a great cast, some great pairings here and there, I just feel like there are some people who just can't teach as well as others, and that really will hold them back.
I agree.
Will hold the talent back from shining. Like, your job is to make the talent shine
Yeah.
as much as possible when you're a Dancing with the Stars dancer.
Right. And I even think like the best, like I'll say this all the time. I think Sharna is the best at making your partner look good. And I think that's the people that succeed, is if the choreographer isn't so much about
Derek Huff.
themselves.
Right.
Right.
Derek Huff is the best at
Right.
doing
They
that.
don't care so much about, I need to look good too, but like, what are my partner's strengths? Let's play those up instead of making it, so technical. So
Very true.
Gleb, maybe work on that a little bit. But so Carrie Ann, she scored this one, and this score, honestly, now looking back at it, got a little higher than I was expecting. So it was a 6, a 6, and a 6, so a total of 18. So that was, out of the 3, the highest. And she was saying she really liked this. That she said hit the angles. It was sexy and had a lot of technique. They lost a little bit in the beginning. I guess she had to slip up on footing. But Carrie Ann really liked it, which...
This is so confusing and weird to me because it was one of my least favorite dances, and the other two before it were scored like
lower.
It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand the grading system. Because for me, I guess as a viewer, I'm not looking at all of the technical aspects. I'm not saying, is this person in hold properly? Is this person doing the correct footwork? Sometimes I'm looking at, the performance as a whole.
Right.
Is it entertaining? Are they, feeling the rhythm? And I just didn't feel that from her at all.
I didn't either. But I feel like with Carrie Ann's scores, she's very kind of all over the place.
It's not consistent.
Just in general tonight, it's funny. I felt like Lem was much more contained, consistent, and agreeable than he usually is. And I felt like Carrie Ann was a bit, I love you, Carrie Ann, but a bit coked out tonight.
Yeah.
Like, honestly,
It's a great word to describe
a little
it.
bit. I mean, I just felt like, honestly, her commentary was kind of all over the place. And I agreed a lot with what she was saying, where I was kind of like, whoa, that's a bit of a left field perspective. But that's just me. I mean, I love Carrie Ann, and I think
she's always my favorite judge, too.
just not tonight.
Yeah, not tonight. I was
felt
not
like she was
agreeing
a
with
little,
her.
Yeah, she was a little off.
A little all over the place.
critique.
Yeah.
Maybe she's sick, guys. We'll give Carrie Ann a pass on tonight. But next up, okay, I love him. So we have Drew Scott from Property Brothers, my favorite, and Emma Slater. So they did the Foxtrot. What did everyone think about this? This was to the fun song that you liked.
Yeah, Our House. I'm
So punny.
I don't know if it's called Our House, but they even had little house pictures on the dance floor.
They did the most with that dance.
Yeah, it was a little over the top. And, when I like the music for a dance,
Right, you
sometimes
jam a little more into it.
I overestimate how good the dance is,
Yeah.
because I'm like, this dance was so great, but it's like, no, I really just like the music a lot. So I don't know, like, if that's why I liked it so much. But I thought he did a really good job. Like, he felt like he was in his fourth week, to me.
I don't agree.
Yeah, see, I'm like,
I liked him.
I liked
love
him. Yeah. I felt like he gave it the good old college try, but like he's clearly not a dancer. Actually, speaking of Drews, I very much got like a Drew Carey. I don't know if you guys watched his season, but he was someone who made it very far just skating on likability. He was never great. I think he was with Whitney too. Someone in the comments let me know if Drew Carey was with Whitney that season, but kind of an equal thing of like just a very likable personality, someone who's earnestly trying their best. So you've got to,
Right, you can't help but just root for him.
Right.
Right. I think he tried his best. I thought he was a little awkward with his movements, but he reminds me a lot of David Ross from last season, who made it to the final 3. Wasn't that good, but tried so hard and just gave it his all and was so likable that he got carried, really far. So I think that's going to be the same thing with Drew, because you can't help but watch him and smile, even if it's not the best, there were some issues, but
he'd be a fun one to see a lot of growth from.
yes, and that's what I'm hoping. I really hope by the end of the season we see him just killing it and whatever. But then we had Len, who was pretty Len-like with his commentary, said, fix your feet. There was a hand mishap. Apparently, there was a bit of a lost steps, which I actually did notice. Which, I mean, I agree with Len. I thought he was a little harsh on poor Drew, but...
He said, you've made a tremendous mistake with this choreography. And I was like, okay,
Len,
episode
ouch.
1.
That's something you say in like week 3 or 4, but okay, let's cut him up when it's week 1.
Yeah.
But then we had a 6, a 5, and a 5. So the 6 coming from Carrie Ann.
But here's an example of this was not better than Terrell Owens. And he
No.
scored better than Terrell
And
Owens,
he
which
scored better.
I felt like it was like equal. I felt
Disagree.
like it was
I
equal.
Disagree.
thought Terrell was just smooth. Like
Yep.
it flowed.
He was musical, too.
Yes. And then I feel like Drew was just fun, but a little just off.
not much musicality.
Right.
Yeah.
So I didn't see, I guess maybe that's Carrie Ann. I feel like she always scores a little higher as it goes on, so.
She has her favorites where she'll be like, I like you a little bit more, so I'm gonna
bump
just
you up a little
slight
bit.
bump.
Yeah,
or
I think
have
so.
faith in you, you need a little push. Okay.
Agree.
Positive reinforcement.
Right.
Yes.
She's very emotional sometimes in the way
Yes,
that
I think-
she judges. And Len, I feel like,
Is unemotional in every possible
yeah,
way.
but I feel
Yeah.
like sometimes he prides himself on being the tough judge that he feels like it's so crazy when he gives a score slightly higher. Like he's so self-important in a way. But I still love him.
I do. Oh, okay. Next, guys. Barbara. Barbara from Shark Tank. I can't never say it. Corcoran.
I can never say her last
it either.
name.
But everyone knows Barbara from Shark Tank, and she's with Keo this season, and they did the salsa to Moneymaker.
So freaking tacky. I mean,
come out swinging.
All right.
It was so I was entertained, but I was also cringing the whole time.
That's the word I described.
It's
it.
Very
I
cringy.
could not look away from it because it was so engrossing, and I was like, I want to watch more. I want to watch more. But it was just so bad. Like, there was a scene where she was like this, but instead of like going like this and like going all out, she's like.
It was just.
I was like, I can't watch this right now.
I'll give it. It was a lot with the gold sharks and the gold chains and everything.
It was tacky.
But she didn't have. I'll give her. I don't think the choreography was
I know.
anything to work with.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed. She got a few steps, a few pops, and like shook her hips.
And
that's
this is
really
the
all.
thing. When we saw her in the rehearsal part, before they actually do the actual dance, I remember when she first was practicing with Keo, I was like, wow, she can move. She has some great footwork. It was just like a little bit that we were seeing, and I was so excited to see the dance. And I feel like this dance did not do her justice. We were talking about this earlier, that she's just paired with someone who's not really teaching her how to dance properly, and she has so much more potential than what we saw. I love her. I think she could go really far if she has the right teacher.
Part of the thing with this show is to have opinions, and I've always kind of felt, and people disagree with me, which is great, but that Keo doesn't necessarily do a great job of generating trust between him and his partners, or necessarily designing choreography that really plays to his partner's strengths. That's not to say that Keo isn't an amazing dancer. I just don't always know how he is as a teacher. And I really think this was problematic choreography for Barbara, especially because we saw that she could move and she has decent hip action, and he has her crumping on stage. I don't know.
Popping and locking.
I wish, like, if Barbara were with like a Derek or a Mark, it'd be really interesting to see what they could do with her, because she's game and she's a go-getter, and this was just such a mess.
That's the great word to describe it. It's just a hot mess.
And I like Barbara too.
And I really hope she stays. I think she will. I mean, she has such a likable personality. I wrote down so Bruno was, I guess, giving her commentary, and she literally looked at him and said, "Who is this guy?" And that's when I was like, I want you to stay for a long time, Barbara. Yeah. Just so funny. I hope that Keo was just trying to play up, a fun dance. It's the first one. Like, let's make it, fun to watch. But next week, I'd like to see them do choreography. That wasn't something I did kind of in my middle school dance.
I would too, yeah. But did you hear Len's comment? He's like, "All that glitters is not gold." I can't do his accent, but it was
that was pretty on point.
Unnecessary. And it was just like, I'm going to put a zinger in here just because I'm Len Goodman. And I was like, that was so unnecessary, but it was also very funny.
Right, and so Len was the commentary. He said the dance is kind of weird to work on her hip action, and then the scores obviously reflected that. So we got a 5. Right. Len gave him a 4, which
I understand.
I get where it's coming from. A little harsh, and then another 5. So I think they had the lowest score of the night.
I would vote for her, though, honestly, because I want to see her.
I want to see her in the future, but I guess I do agree with the score. I don't think it deserved to be kind of high up there, so...
This is an interesting, real quick diversion. This will be fast, but an interesting point was brought up that Sasha's not a pro this season. And to me, it feels a little weird to put Keo as a pro and not Sasha, just because I feel like Sasha's such a good teacher, but...
And I feel like Sasha is such a staple part of the show. Like,
I agree.
I feel like anytime I think of one of the pros, I think of him.
Right.
And I don't really ever remember Keo that much. So that is interesting. I'd like to know the reasoning behind that.
And for those who disagree, please defend him in the comments. Like, we're a democratic show, so
we like to hear it. Okay, so next up we have a good one: Jordan Fisher and Lindsey. Which automatically I love Lindsey, and I'll say Jordan had a bit of Jordan's a Broadway star, so I will say they did the tango, and it was pretty incredible. I'm assuming did everyone else think the same?
It was one of the best. Yeah,
yes.
100%.
I mean,
we're all on the same page here.
If I had to pick an early winner,
I think he would be in my top.
Right.
This is literally like, they do this all the time, and it's so unfair and it's so ridiculous. I don't know if you guys remember Dancing with the Stars way back, but there was a time that Nicole Scherzinger from the Pussycat Dolls won, and I was like, she sings, she dances,
the
she's
Pussycat
like
Dolls
so
are known for dancing.
She has the best choreography. You can't put Derek Huff, one of the best dancers ever, with Nicole Scherzinger and expect someone else to win.
And
it's so unfair. I feel like the same thing with the Broadway thing. I mean, you're not you're dancing professionally. It's a different type of dancing, but you're a natural-born entertainer. You're gonna win.
He's obviously going to be very different than any of the NFL players.
Right.
Like, he's had that training.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this always happens where there's a couple like, oh, a Broadway actor. You're like, Broadway.
Yeah. What do you do on Broadway? You dance.
But I'm here for it.
They totally tried to downplay it, too. Like, he was like, remember when they were saying, like, yeah, you know, I've never really done anything like this. I was in Hamilton, and it's just like...
I was in Hamilton.
That's literally...
Okay.
You're a performer. That's your job.
Right.
You do this for a living.
I mean, and I will say, I honestly couldn't tell the professional from the celebrity in that
really
dance.
good.
It was
so good.
I mean, Lindsey's choreography is always amazing, but
just great.
I loved they did a very good job of using every single second of this routine productively and efficiently, and there wasn't a single beat missed. There was even with tango, you always prep and set your frame, and every time, even between those, they would have choreography hitting the beats to set their frame, and it's just like a really special kind of dance, and I think they're going to go very far, and it will be crazy if they don't.
Oh, I will riot if they don't. So Carrie Ann was the judge for that, and of course, I think she said you shouldn't be that good on week 1. And I 100%, that looked like one of the finale dances, honestly. So, I mean, they got one of the highest scores to match their dance. They had an 8 from Carrie Ann, and then a 7 and a 7. So, one of the highest scores of the night with the 22, which I agree.
Yep.
I think that was very well deserved. And I saw online that they are the youngest dancers. Both of them combined are the youngest in the whole competition. So
nice.
Good for you guys. You're doing great.
Ooh, Lindsey is Julianne 2.0. I kind of agree.
I see it.
Yep.
And I
like that.
Every one of her dances, I don't think I've ever seen one where I'm like, I don't like the choreography. I just think she really gets her partner. And like even last season when she had David, who was this, big baseball guy, she played up to his strengths so well. Mm-hmm. You go, girl. All right, next up we have Nick Lachey with this part of this married couple twist that we have with PETA, and they did the cha-cha. And Jeff, to quote, said, Nick Lachey moves like a frat guy. Which, honestly, I kind of see it. I thought it was fun. It was entertaining. It kind of just looked like a college kid dancing in a bar to me.
Yeah,
but a
good
one.
In a good way.
So fun.
So fun. I think, let's see fun to watch. I think it was just a little too snappy with the fist bumps for me.
But it was fun. It's almost like you're in some sort of dance club and you watch someone performing and you just get so into it.
Right.
It felt like a karaoke night
For sure.
Right. It was karaoke night.
I liked it. I thought it was it was entertaining.
Right, it was very entertaining. I'll give it that.
Kind of like the point of Dancing with the Stars. If you want to see someone kind of relatable and it's fun, he has such an endearing personality too.
Right, I mean, I do want to see him go far, and I think he has a lot of pressure. His brother won first place on season 2, so I mean, he's got a lot riding on this. And I think because of the whole married couple with his wife there, and then PETA and Max, I think they'll probably stay for a while because people are going to I'm assuming, the whole competitive nature of the married couples. Mm-hmm. But Len, what did Len say? So Len liked it. He said they went for it. It was all or nothing. They had a little leg move that was really awkward, which I do remember that Len pointed that out. It was interesting. But so their scores, a 6, 6, and 6, 18 total. I think that was pretty well reflecting.
Nick, to me right now, is someone who just hasn't been able to let go of his kind of nerves. And I think there's an element of watching a dancer when they're able to let go and kind of embrace the ballroom component of what they're doing. Because for a lot of guys, it's uncomfortable because it doesn't come feeling like a very masculine way to move, which is how he's very used to moving, which you saw in his whole dance. He was kind of, it almost just like you're watching a dude dance rather than like a professional male ballroom dancer. But I think he's musical enough that if he lets go of that, he could be really good. And I agree with the scores.
Why did he agree to do this? Because we saw that he said that he would never do Dancing with the Stars. I almost feel like his wife is like, let's make this a joint
I'm 100% saying his wife had a big influence in this.
Because he was so opposed to doing it, and all of a sudden, he's just like, okay.
It's career, man.
Yeah. I mean, good for you. I'd probably do it too.
I'd do it too, yeah.
I wouldn't oppose. So next we had his wife, Vanessa Lachey, with Max. They did the cha-cha as well.
I love her, by the way.
Yep. I think she's very likable. I think she has the whole silly factor. She's fun to watch. I love Max's choreography. The whole with the babies and him making the baby dance as well.
It was so cute.
She's a mom. I thought it was just a cute, very likable routine. Do I think she's the best technical dancer? No. I think the only thing I'm worried, y'all might disagree with me, is she's likable. She's not amazing, so I wonder if she'll be forgettable, which I think we were talking about that as well, because she's not, the most memorable Barbara, but she's not the Jordan Fisher. So is she going to get kind of lost in the middle?
I feel like when Nick is there, people will remember her because of that association. And I think there is definitely an advantage there of them being together at the same time. So if one of them gets eliminated, I think the other one's going to be in danger because Nick can't really dance that well. I mean, he's so great, though. I loved his dance. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was good, but he's not, like, pro level, obviously. But I feel like Vanessa had much more dancing prowess than
I agree. I mean, she looked sharp.
I think she so good.
The footwork was there. The arm movement was really good. And then so Bruno was her judge, and he liked it. He said it was a very proper cha-cha, which I agree with that. He basically just said, maintain what you did, and you'll be good. So she got 777, beat Nick, which I agree. I thought she was the better out of the couples.
Totally.
So she actually, that was one of the higher scores. So she had a 21. So, I mean, I think if she keeps improving, she will stay, but...
Yeah, she was great, but I am worried that she's one of the ones when you're not the best female dancer and you don't have a very emotional story grounding your reason for being on the show. There's always a dancer who leaves too early. I think of like Alexa Vega, I think of like Sabrina Bryan. And
I remember that from the Cheetah Girls. Yep. I was like shocked when that happened.
I know, and I'm worried that Vanessa's going to be that dancer just because right now she's not the clear standout best, but she's very good. But I just think that could be a tough role to occupy this early in the season. So I like her a lot, and I hope she stays, but I'm a little worried about her. But we'll see.
I agree with that. So fingers crossed for her. Next up, we have Frankie Muniz and Whitney doing the foxtrot. What did we think about this? I think personally we can go over his scores in a bit, but I thought he scored way too high for this. I think it was decent. He had a good posture, a good lead. I thought it was just a little stiff. What did you guys think of old Frankie?
I almost feel like the criteria to judge on foxtrot is easier than the criteria to judge on the other ones, and that people can get away with more on the foxtrot. Because I feel like with the foxtrot, what the judges are looking for, are they in hold properly?
Their
Do they have good posture? So it's more like, you did this, okay, so you're going to automatically get this score, versus your performance was so engaging and it was so great and I was so mesmerized by it. It's less of that and more of, you didn't do the stuff you're not supposed to do, so you're going to automatically get like a 7 or a 6. I thought Frankie Muniz was so adorable and so endearing.
He is.
I never knew he was that, shy and soft-spoken and nervous. I never sensed that from him. But it's just kind of interesting to see a child star that I kind of grew up watching, Malcolm in the Middle.
I mean, it is fun to see
guest role on Lizzie McGuire. It's kind of cool to see that now.
I feel like Frankie actually did a really good job of kind of leading and sort of being the alpha. Like, even though I don't think his technique was great, I felt like more than a lot of the other guys, and I actually felt this way about Derek Fisher too, kind of did a good job of sort of being the man in the partnership, which is, I think, an important thing that you sometimes don't see early because the female professionals can sometimes overshadow their partners. So even though his technique and I think he was stiff and there wasn't much musicality, I did think he did a good job kind of commanding the dance, which is a good place to start.
Which is something I wouldn't look at him, no offense, Frankie, and think that he'd be this, macho man that was leading. So I definitely agree with that. And his scores, it was Carrie was his judge. She loved it. That's what fans fall in love with, is what she said. And his scores were a 7, a 6, and a 6 for a 19. So little high, but I mean, I guess I see where they're coming from. So, I mean, I guess compared, if we think back to the beginning, back to those scores, that it was a little high, but
I think so too, compared to you.
I liked Mercy's comment on the live chat. He looked like a nervous dad, LOL.
Yeah, I think so.
I totally see him with a little blazer, and he was so adorable.
Frankie. But real quick, before we move on to our last, let's see, we have 4 more. I want to talk a little bit about a new medical drama that is on ABC Monday nights. It is after Dancing with the Stars at 9 or 10/9 Central, and it's called The Good Doctor. Honestly, so excited for it. It's from the creators of House, which is one of my favorite shows.
So good.
So fun. It's about a doctor. It's Dr. Sean Murphy. He has autism and Savant syndrome. He becomes a surgical resident at a prestigious hospital, and he has these genius-level skills, and no one knows how he relates to patients. He saves all their lives. And honestly, it's one of the most anticipated new series of the fall season. I mean, it stars Freddie Highmore. I don't know if y'all watch Bates Motel, but
He's great.
he's in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I
Which
never
classic.
knew that.
Yeah. So we'll have to stay tuned for that. And it is on tonight, was the premiere of it, 10/9 Central on ABC. Everyone be sure to check out The Good
gonna be
Doctor.
good. It's gonna be good.
I'm excited. I'm going to binge watch it as soon as I get home. But moving on, we have Nikki Bella and Artem, and they did the tango, a lot of body slams. And honestly, I like this. I think she's going to be one of the strong females to go far. I think just her stage presence in general, she kind of commands the dance floor. So I liked it. I thought she was fierce. I thought it was a solid dance. Maybe not the best of the night, but definitely a solid performance. What did y'all think?
I liked it a lot. She just, exactly like everything you said, I'm 100% on board with. She's a performer. This is her living.
Right.
She
She knows what she's
being
doing.
in the spotlight. I would like to see her twin make a special appearance.
Yeah.
Brie Bella. That would be really cool if they had one with like
Sister twist.
two of them, or if they got injured, the twin takes over.
Right?
Yeah. So there's a couple twins on the show. There's Drew from...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's Drew, and
we
then there's
got
Nikki. And,
twin season, married couples.
yeah.
This
A lot
is
of
funny.
doubles.
There's a lot of doubles this season, yeah. I think this is going to be a controversial opinion, so I'll be interested to see what the chat thinks. I thought Nikki's dance was very good. She's obviously a good performer. For some reason, something about her specifically I didn't connect to. I don't know why. I think it's going to take some time for me to just kind of warm up to her as a performer. I think she might have the whole time seemed just too performy for me.
So it wasn't real almost.
I get it.
Yep, I think
see that.
during her package, she seemed a little like she was on stage the whole time, even in rehearsal, and
Like it was a wrestling match almost.
or something. I don't know, but I just think I have to warm up to her before I can really get on board with her dancing. But she was obviously good. I just think she needs to take a deep breath and kind of ease into her choreography a bit, and I think her kind of authenticity as well. But I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree. I think she has a lot of potential. I think, what I want to see is I want to see her break down one week and, really have, like, a raw emotion.
Yeah.
I hope they don't just, overplay her as, like, sexual and, like, flirty and fun. Like, let's see, some real raw emotion. But
I think it's good to have a little bit of that in the beginning because it kind of brands her as, for the people who don't know who she is, this is Nikki Bella, and then she's remembered for that. So as this, episode, the season
we'll gradually
progresses,
get into it.
we'll see more of her heart because...
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, if you follow her, like, on social media or anything, she does have a soft spot.
Oh,
like, there have been so many times that she's been sad about things, whether it's about her issue of wanting kids and her husband not wanting kids, whatever it is, like, she definitely has a soft spot.
I think we'll see it. And then Len was her judge, and he liked it. He said good body contact. He did give her a critique, which I didn't pick up on this. I guess I was distracted by her. But he said stop looking down and lift her chin up. So I think that might have reflected on maybe his score. She still got high scores, a 7, a 7, and a 6. You guys agree with those scores?
I agree with
I
it.
do.
Yeah.
I think maybe she maybe could have used another 7.
I agree. I thought, Bruno with the 6. I don't think
Yeah.
that was, I don't know where
Yeah.
that came from.
He
but
held back.
A quick thing I'm a little worried about with this partnership is that Nikki is so outgoing and kind of the alpha, and I think Artem is pretty shy and kind of quiet. So I wonder how they'll do as a partnership, and I hope Artem doesn't let Nikki kind of walk over him because, I don't know, we'll have to see, but it'll be an interesting partnership, and I've got to warm up to them, to be totally honest.
I
But
have to make one comment that I do think Artem should dye his hair back, and I'm very curious if other people agree with me. But
the chat's been talking about the hair.
Artem, dye your hair back, please.
Yeah, they're talking about it right now. It's
All
so
right.
funny.
Next up, we had Derek Fisher and Sharna. So Derek Fisher, NBA star, they did the salsa. I loved this.
I loved
Yeah.
it so much. I was like, why 3 6s? Are you kidding me? I was so
right.
confused by the scoring.
I mean, it gave me some High School Musical, like basketball throwbacks. I think maybe that's why I liked it. But
Yeah.
I thought he was good at it. He was very confident.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of what made me want to keep watching him. I was
Yeah.
like, he doesn't look nervous at all. You would think that he's been doing this for a couple years. So
And he's one of the biggest stars on the show. I mean, Derek Fisher, they got a Laker on the show. I mean,
Right.
he's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, I was surprised by how confident he was. I mean, I think their critiques about his technique were fair. He needs to tighten up. I think his precision.
His hip rotation.
His hip action. Yeah, that was a good point about his hip action. Was it was kind of like horizontal and it wasn't. But at the same time, I really feel like he's got a lot of natural charisma and dance ability, and I kind of couldn't take my eyes off of him during the dance. So I'll be really interested to see like what his journey looks like, because he seems like he might be kind of a quiet dark horse.
I agree. I think he's going to go far, and I especially think it's a great partnership with Sharna. I think she just will take him far, especially if he's already shown this much potential in the first dance. I think they'll go far. I don't agree with the scores. Bruno was, his judge, and he made the hip comment and said to watch his arms, and they gave him 3 6s.
I'm not worried about him, though, because I feel like he's the type of person everyone is going to vote for because he's so freaking likable. He's also well-known. And then for the people who don't watch sports at all, I mean, I don't really watch sports, and I love him. Like, I would vote for him right away because he's great. Like, Barbara and him, like,
yeah, I think we'll see them for a bit.
I think the one interesting point that was brought up was like it wasn't really a salsa.
It wasn't.
So that's fair.
But it was still fun. If you're judging on a salsa, I get why it's 6s, but as an overall performance, come on, throw in like 1 7 at least. Give me a 7.
Yeah, I think he deserved a 7. But next up, so we have our final 2. We have Victoria, Arlen, and Val. And they did the cha-cha, and I just love her. Incredible story. I think she's going to be someone that you just can't help but root for this whole entire season. I mean, going through 10 years of paralysis and then doing that dance tonight when she can't feel her legs was incredible. And to not be able to feel your legs, and I thought she did a really good job. I thought she held her own. I mean, I must say I wasn't expecting that performance from her. I thought she might struggle a little more. So I thought it was really good.
She is probably my favorite contestant out of everyone. And I definitely think the story plays into that. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely felt like this whole dance routine pulled at my heartstrings. Just going from that really inspirational story of how, like, it's almost as if she was written off, her life was over, and then she makes this transition from going from, like, this vegetative state to, finally being awake, conscious, aware, but in a wheelchair, and then going from that to being able to dance on Dancing with the Stars, do an incredible job. And despite all of that, like, she is so bubbly, she's so warm, she's vibrant. How can you go through these things and be such a vibrant, beautiful person?
I love these, like, and granted she is hosting now, but I kind of love these, like, picked from the non-celebrity. There's always nice,
refreshing.
The inspirational, like, someone was mentioning Amy Purdy, Noah Galloway, Niall DeMarco. I also think of Alec, who was the the guy who helped rescue those hostages on the train. And these are always some of my favorite dancers in the entire competition. And she was great. I mean, like, I think first of all, Val did a really good job choreographing this. I think the whole package with, like, the lighting and what she was wearing and even the song choice was just, it all felt very appropriate. And I think her musicality is very good. Obviously, I think there's going to be a little work needed with her footwork, but also she can't feel her legs.
Right,
so, like,
you got to give her a little wiggle room.
Of course.
How does that even work, though? We've had a contestant in the past who had one leg that was a prosthetic leg, and there was a time when it came off or something happened, and I remember thinking, that's insane. How do you dance like that? Like, how are you that great? But now you can't feel both of your legs, like, nothing at all. How? Like, how is that humanly possible to do such a great job, have him lead, have the perfect facial expressions, be completely in the moment, in the music, and just have this incredible personality, incredible story? I think she's going to go
I think she'll go far. And definitely, I want her to. She's one of my top favorites. It'll be interesting, though, because this was a slower dance. Will she be able to do something like the jive, where it's so fast-paced?
I think she will.
I think she's an incredibly hard worker, but I think that's something that'll be interesting when it comes to faster footwork, if she'll be able to. But Carrie Ann was her judge, and she said it was the most joyous performance she's ever seen. She had a good connection with spirit and body, which I really do agree. I think she's a fighter, and you saw it in that dance. And the scores were a 7, a 6, and a 6. So a 19. I thought there should have been one more 7 in there.
Me too.
But
I think from a technique standpoint, but at the same time, it's, like, tough because she's facing her home, none of the other contestants are facing. I'm not worried about her sticking around, so I'm really excited to see her journey.
See, this is the thing with judging is, do you judge,
hard,
how do you judge people? Do you judge them based on their highest potential, or Do you judge them based on how other people do? Is it something that's relative? It's so hard to come up with a consistent scoring when they're not professional dancers and they each have completely different backgrounds. It's
and
not
different
like
stories.
Not everyone's on the same playing field. It's not that type of competition. But even her outfit, by the way, total side note, that pink outfit
favorite
that was
of
so
the night.
out there, and when she had a story behind it saying, this is the exact same color that this is the color of my wheelchair,
her crutches,
my cast, like every single thing. I was like, I like how things come full circle. I always like the
that whole dance was
full circle,
very full circle.
Loved it.
Well, last of the night, great. Lindsey Stirling, the violinist, and Mark, they did a cha-cha, which they got also one of the high scores. They tied with Jordan Fisher. This dance, I didn't expect her to come out swinging that hard, honestly. I thought she was crisp, fluid, good lines, so sharp. Honestly, I thought she looked like a professional.
Yeah, I mean, she looks like a dancer.
She does. And very good facials. Like, you couldn't help but watch her face.
Mm-hmm.
So just great performer.
I was not surprised at all that Lindsey Stirling was this good. I mean, for those who know who she is, she's this kind of very arty, like, solo violin player, and she'll kind of dance as she performs. And they did bring up the good point of, like, playing violin actually forces you to be in frame. And I mean, like, I think her and Mark are the perfect partnership. Really glad the producers put them together because they're both kind of those quirky, artistic, but deeply creatively passionate people. And I'm just so excited about this partnership.
Oh, I think we'll see a lot of really good dances from them.
It's a perfect pairing. I like that one.
Oh, that was a good dance. I'm going to go home and watch it again. Well,
I think she's got a little bit of technique to learn, but that's because she's never ballroom danced before.
Exactly.
And I think she's going to be a really quick learner, and I foresee her going very, very far.
I could see her in the top 3. I'm
sure.
making that prediction right now.
It's a good prediction.
Definitely, I see top 3.
Yeah.
Well, Len was her judge, and he said it was the dance of the night, which... I'm still in a toss-up between her and Jordan, but I definitely, between those two, I think those were by far the top 2 dances of the night.
Yeah.
Any other dances that should be up there?
I know the Victoria one isn't the best technically, but for some reason it's the one that resonated with me the most.
Right.
It's
Of
not
course.
the best, but
Right.
it was my favorite.
I agree.
And
I
there's
think
a difference
she was
between
definitely a
best and favorite for me.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so Victoria's was my favorite. I would say Lindsay's was the best, though. I
agree.
Technically.
She did great. And then, so her scores, obviously, a 7 and 8 from Len, which is a surprise. And then another 7, so 22. So her and Jordan are the top scorers. And then I believe Barbara was our lowest scorer. Yes.
Oh, but one of my
Barbara
favorite
and T.O.
personalities.
were the lowest.
Vote for Barbara, guys. Come on, like, seriously, vote for Barbara.
Yeah.
I want to see her around longer.
She'll be interesting for
She'll
sure.
be interesting.
And I love Shark Tank, so.
I want to
So
see her.
good.
Well, before we wrap up, I do want to ask, who does everyone think will go this week? Who will be the one to go home?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I know I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, honestly, Sasha, because just it wasn't memorable, but
I
then
was
you think
thinking
with
that
Pretty
too.
Little Liars has such a following.
But does that demographic watch a ton of Dancing with the Stars?
That I don't see that's going to be the big toss-up.
Although Pretty Little Liars is Freeform, and Freeform and ABC Family are pretty much one and the same, and it's linked to ABC. I don't know if I'm stretching here at all, but I feel like there has to be some sort
Some
of overlap
synergy.
between ABC and then the new ABC Family Freeform.
Right.
So maybe people watch both? I don't know.
I'm actually worried about our property brother.
Oh,
I'm
don't
not
tell
worried
me
about
that.
him. I really liked him.
I
think
kind
he's
of-
fine.
I think he's fun,
I
but you're
think
right.
Sasha.
I just think, like, a lot of people vote for Barb because she's on the most popular reality show on a
Yeah.
network. And,
And
like,
she, like, her commentary tonight was just such gold.
she's
I
like
think
Gary Busey a little bit, who
Pun
was, like,
intended.
having him around was so much fun. It'll be interesting to see, but if I was Drew Scott, I'd be a little nervous. Even though I want Drew to
too.
stay, but I don't know.
I do too, but you're right, because thinking about everyone else, I can't think of anyone else who might go home. I don't think T.O. will go home.
I don't either.
He's not.
I don't think the Lachey's will go home.
I think Frankie Muniz might
Oh.
because he's not super relevant. It's
That's
just,
true.
It's just people. I feel like people like me can appreciate Frankie Muniz because we grew up on Malcolm in the Middle. Even the Lizzie McGuire episode where he
Exactly.
yeah, or Agent Cody Banks.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh my God, I forgot.
Yeah, like we grew up on this. Was he in Big Fat Liar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is such an underrated movie.
It really is. I couldn't even remember if that was him.
that.
But he was in so many things that I watched as a kid, and I can appreciate him. I don't know if other people are going to appreciate him.
What audience is watching?
And I don't think people are going to vote for him, even though he's so cute.
Oh, and Debbie. That's a good point. Debbie might go home.
I don't think Debbie's. It's gonna be either Debbie or Sasha. I think it's gonna be Sasha though.
I think the PLL thing is going to keep her alive.
I think so. I think
we'll see.
her Pretty Little Liars.
following.
Oh, and Janelle from Pretty Little Liars got third on Dancing with the Stars. So
Yeah.
clearly the Pretty Little Liar people they vote.
They're
I could
hardcore
see
fans.
Debbie going actually. Now that
Yeah.
I think about it.
Someone brought her up, and I was like, yeah.
Which is like sad because I want to see her.
I know.
She was on Broadway too. I didn't realize she was on Broadway.
Personality.
We'll see. It's just, this is a bummer season to watch people go because there's really no one I'm like meh about. I like
Right.
everyone,
Exactly.
Like, who would I not be sad to see go? I'm gonna get so much hate in the comments section. I will not be sad to see Debbie go.
so fair enough.
Well, you're right because
I'm
like
getting
I
a
don't
lot
know
of
80s music that well. Sorry, it's before my time. But I guess.
Oh
I wouldn't
wait,
be
sorry.
Too sad.
Did I say Debbie? I meant
Oh
no.
shoot! Well, I just said
Sasha.
Debbie.
Oh, Sasha.
I meant Sasha. I'm
Oh.
gonna get hate because I meant Sasha from Pretty Little Liars. Pretty Little Liars is one of the huge fan base, but she didn't do anything for me. I was like, eh.
Yeah, it was a little.
I can go without watching
half-hearted
this.
for me, but
Yeah, we'll see.
well, guys, next week is not season 2, episode 2. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting. We'll see who goes home. Thank you guys for guest hosting on this
This was
panel.
so fun.
I had
much
a blast.
fun.
Yeah, this was really fun.
There were so many good dances to talk about. Way to go, everyone on there. And guys, I will not be here next week, but my other host who will be doing this panel will be here next week, and I will be back the 3rd week, so you'll be seeing me more. And yeah, everyone, keep commenting what you want to see and hear from us, and we will see you all next week.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye. You guys can find me.
Oh my God, guys! I just got really excited about Dancing with the
okay.
Stars.
Mina was not going to let the show
I
end.
was like,
Just kidding.
This is Jeff. This is Mina. No.
Guys.
If you guys want to keep up with other things that I'm doing a show called DVR Report, where I will actually tell you every Monday night what show you should tune into. Other than Dancing with the Stars, of course.
Right.
There's so many other good shows coming
so
out
many.
this fall. So tune into DVR Report, AfterBuzz TV, and you can find me on Instagram at Mina Makes Magic.
And guys, my name is Jeff. You guys can find me online at Jeffrey C. Graham. Mina and I are not official panelists, but we will be filling in here and there. But you guys
They
have
were
an amazing... Oh, that's nice of you to say. But you guys have an amazing panel coming up, so get excited. And also, just so y'all know, Morgan was a dancer in college. So I know
I was.
y'all are always giving us hate about technique, but she
Guys,
knows
I
her stuff.
promise at the University of Texas, you can Google me. I was there.
Yeah.
I have some rhythm, I promise.
Absolutely.
And she notices the technical stuff on Dancing
She'll
with the Stars.
be our
She'll like,
technician,
"Ah."
but let us know in the comments what you guys thought of the show. Let us know what you want to see more of, and yeah, it's going to be a great season.
I'm very excited about this season.
Yeah, and it's going to be awesome. So thanks for tuning in, guys. And you want to take us out,
Yes,
Morgan?
and guys, you can follow me, sorry about that, on Twitter at Morgan_Willett. I love interacting with you guys. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Morgan Lee Willett. And thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait for the rest of this season.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, everyone.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.